We're very proud that in the last years, whether it's in person, virtual, or hybrid, the PropertyGuru Asia Real Estate Summit agenda has had a diverse lineup of speakers, and this year is no exception. Our next panel of experts are all women leaders, and we'll talk about empowering women leaders in tech and real estate, and why gender-diverse businesses thrive. Let's welcome our moderator, Jessica Safra, Polanco-winning author and journalist. Come on, everyone. And our panel speakers, Coco Liu, Chief Regional Officer, APAC HLB from the United Kingdom, Jean Jacqueline De Castro, CEO, ESCA Incorporated from the Philippines, Lomonga Haumasan, President Director, Asiana Group from Indonesia, and Ho Shin Yi, Managing Director, Data and Software Solutions, PropertyGuru from Singapore.
Good afternoon. So this is a panel about why gender diversity, putting women in charge, is an excellent idea. So we'll cut to the chase. Let's start with Coco for context. Why do gender diverse businesses perform better?
Thank you very much, Jessica. Hello, everyone. I'm Coco. So it is indeed evidence-based that the gender diverse organizations are better performers. So based on the studies of McKinsey and Morgan Stanley, gender diverse organizations are more profitable, and companies with female board members are more productive. Before we talk about why, I think it's very important to understand what gender diversity is. It is not just about having the right mix of a male or female in the organization, but it's about organizational culture, an inclusive environment, and the values of a true equality for everyone to grow. So why is the gender diversity beneficial? In my view, there are three key areas. So first is about talent attraction and retention. We need to get access to the wider talent pool, and we can't miss out the availability and abilities of half of the population. Diversity is a very powerful tool for companies to be future-proof in the war for talent. So based on PwC study, 85% of female millennials are looking for companies with better track record of diversity. And of course, companies with better practice with diversity are more successful in talent retention. So this means less recruitment costs, more efficiency, less disruption, and more consistency and synergies. Second, gender diversity is leading to better collaborations and innovation. We are talking about the innovation here. There are research reports showing that women have stronger skills in reading nonverbal signals. So groups with women tend to be better in taking turns in conversations. And this helps the teams to maximize the collaborative expertise and combined skills and knowledge. Companies with better diversity also and the different organizational levels enable us to access different viewpoints, different approaches from different personalities, from different life experience. And all of this is leading to creativity and innovation. The last but not least is a better connection with the customers. Customers come from all walks of life. The better we can represent and reflect customer demographics within our organizations, the higher efficiency we can achieve in all business functions. And if I can ask the question to the audience, in your household, who is making the purchasing decision, man or woman? We can never underestimate the buying power of women, so we should never forget to represent this very important customer group in our organizations. Therefore, gender diversity is indeed the key to building successful and collaborative, efficient teams, and it is leading to better decision making and higher profitability. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Coco. So in the same vein, I'd like to ask Lumonga, why are inclusivity and equality in real estate important in creating sustainable developments?
Okay, thank you. I think inclusivity and equality, of course, will create a better environment in the workforce because we, as a society, we are consistent of all genders, obviously, and with all different backgrounds. So I think by creating equality and inclusivity, it will create a more fulfilling, and when voices are heard, when people are given the same opportunities, that will in turn produce a better outcome. There will be a sense of belonging, and then there will be, because people are more optimal at working because they feel like they're respected, then they will give a wider perspective, and then creativity will be optimal as well. So I think by creating a fulfilling condition at work, by giving the same opportunities to grow for everyone, it will be most beneficial for the company also.
Thank you. And now, women in executive roles in construction, engineering, and the technical aspects of the real estate industry are historically low compared to men. Now, are there any initiatives being undertaken in your countries to address this disparity? For instance, Jean, I know that the Philippines' first survey on women in technical roles in real estate has just been completed. Did any of the findings in that study jump out at you? What did you find really interesting there?
Yeah, so what was interesting was that 25% were female as against 75% male in the engineering industry. So I'm with the engineering industry where it's predominantly male dominated. However, in the STEM grade 11 and 12, they're going up to 50%, 50-50. So I think it's not only addressing the barriers to entry into the industry, but allowing them to thrive and progress, remaining in the industry to reach these executive and leadership roles. And what we're trying to do with the Women Engineering Survey, which is the first, because we realize there's no data point in the Philippines talking about the conditions of women in engineering field. What we want to do is really find out if there are gender issues in engineering, the perspective of women in engineering, and whether there's adequate gender-based policies there. And then get the statistical and qualitative data as a starting point, as a roadmap. In fact, the government, the Department of Trade and Industry with CIAP on the construction industry has agreed to partner with us because they also needed data points to be able to establish more concrete programs and agenda to be able to make the industry more inclusive, more sustainable. And I think because I'm with ULI also, chairperson, the first female chairperson, and I think one of the first things I had to do was bring more women into the board, right? Bringing women into decision-making roles. For example, Cindy Harabat is also here, who is an expert in sustainability and hospitality, and putting women in decision-making roles and giving them a say into how the built environment is built. I think it's a way to allow them to thrive in the industry, and then later on allow them to progress to leadership roles.
Thank you. Xin Yi, why is it crucial to listen to women's voices in tech, real estate, and data science?
How much time do I have?
I think we're doing pretty well on time. So.
Great. I think there are multiple. These fellow ladies on the panel, they're all experts in real estate. So I'll leave it to them to talk about real estate. Maybe I'll just focus particularly in tech and data science. And I'd like to come to this example because for example, the airbag. Right, the airbag. The first version of the airbag, consistently, when put to test on dummies, were affecting the female dummies. And they couldn't figure out why. They were consistently killing the female-sized dummies. And then they realized because the first airbags, which were designed to protect people in the cars, were designed by male scientists. And they had themselves in mind because they were the users in mind. So essentially, a product that was designed to protect people or killing people. And it's such a great example of how when you have a lack of representation in product design and technology, it can have very, very big impact. And I'll give another great example of how, particularly in the current day when a lot of investments is going into data science, AI, when you ask the 4 main voice assistants, so Siri, Google, Alexa, Cortana, and you ask them for their gender, consistently they say they don't have a gender. But the default setting for the voice assistants are always female. Because the research says that in the study of human-computer interaction, if you don't assign a personality to an inanimate object like a table or a chair, people will I will apply my own perception to it. So a lot of these tech companies were trying to create a personality for these voice assistants, and they had this perception that the assistant should be submissive, should be compliant, and so should be female. And if you were to take your phone out now and Google homemaker, if you could do a very quick search right now, 99.5% of the images that you see is female. So when you think about our daughters, our grandchildren, who have to do a school project and have to work on a poster that says homemaker, and they see that a homemaker is supposed to look like a female juggling multiple tasks, the kind of socialization that will impact future generations is massive. So especially in the space of technology and data science, if we're designing the world of the future that should be more equitable and sustainable, if we're not conscious about the gender bias, whether conscious or unconscious, it can have a very, very long-term impact on the future generations and communities.
Right. And so our panel is about putting women in charge and what happens when that happens. And so the fact that women may take time off to become mothers has always been held against them in different industries. So I wanted to ask Lomonga, why do you think women who choose to become mothers should be encouraged to pursue executive positions in their industries?
Okay, I think as a mother, as a wife, as a mother, we are so used to juggle different tasks at the same time, and then in order for us to succeed in doing what we have to do, I mean, we have to be really disciplined in time management, in delegation, and managing of all things. And I think as a leader basically is a good manager. I mean, you have to be able to manage all aspects of your company. And I think by the lifelong skill that you have developed as a mother, I think it could bring it could give an added value for you as a leader. And also, women we listen more. I mean, we tend to be great listeners. Not all of us, but we tend to, a majority of us. And I think as in being a mother and managing a household, we have to be able to be a good listener. And I think there's also a skill that would be beneficial for you as a leader. So yeah, I think that's my thought on that.
Cool. And so we're doing great on time. So this gives us the opportunity to have a question that everyone can answer. So in your view, what are the challenges and benefits of being a woman in a traditionally male-dominated field like real estate, construction, technology? Coco, would you like to start?
Okay, I can only share the view from the professional service sector. And I think the biggest challenge is the unconscious bias, which is the status quo and the formalized pre-existing inequality, such as the glass ceiling for women to proceed to higher organizational levels. As for the benefit, I think that there are so many, but I would like to highlight better collaboration. Because as women, I think we tend to be more open to share our weaknesses, our problems and concerns, and we're willing to support each other to look for solutions. So this kind of a collaboration between women and the staff level or senior level is not just within the organization, but beyond. So this applies to our relationship with the clients and also the community of the female leaders. And we share not only thoughts, but also connections or business resources.
Thank you. Jean?
Yeah, one of the, I guess, challenges always revolves around safety and security, and that goes into even the design of our built environment. And even as women, right, the location, who you're going to meet, when, it's a more sensitive issue for women. And we have an old boys club, and that means feeling a bit of exclusion in some cases, and that exclusion, it's okay if it's just social, but sometimes it means exclusion in strategic partnerships, right, where these discussions are being made. And also in Filipino, we have the word makikipagsabayan, right? There's pressure for you to do a bit more just to be treated equally, just to be heard. So I think those are the challenges. And the benefits, on the other hand, this has always been a challenge for me because I feel like there shouldn't be a financial, because as you said, there are financial benefits to be having a more diverse board and ownership, but really I feel like it's a human right, right? For women to be in leadership positions, for women to be in the board. But in addition to that, I think the kind of decisions that are made at a very diverse board is more holistic. It gives a more diverse perspective, as mentioned earlier. We give a different, sometimes we allow to prevent tensions to escalate because we're able to engage stakeholders better. So that gives it a better, and we're able to, as mentioned earlier, the marketplace, we reflect the needs of the users. In the Philippines, 50% are women, right? So we're able to address their needs as well. So I think that's really one of the benefits of having that in the engineering industry because it reflects in our built environment. Right now, our open spaces are not safe, are not secure. We always look for clean bathrooms, which may be more significant for women. So I think our voices need to be heard when it comes to our built environment, when it comes to decision making and in government.
Yes. Lumonga?
Okay, I can share with you based on my experience. So when I first started 20 years ago, of course, I had doubts from people from all aspects of the real estate and construction sector. In terms of financial support, people had doubts, and buyer also, they were thinking, whether or not the building would get built, and also whether or not she could actually construct and deliver a building. But then, I didn't dwell too much on it. So I just, well, actually, this challenge made me more creative in finding a solution to finding the financial support. We had to be creative in getting the funds that we had to come up with, and then we had to be more motivated to come up with a more creative and out-of-the-box concept for a project to set us apart from the other projects. And so actually the challenge made us, it became a winning streak, I would say, for the project that we were doing. And then at the end of the day, if you show your skills and if you produce good results, I think the project will speak for themselves, and people, after, in time, then I think the challenges won't be there anymore, and people actually will come to you, and that didn't want to listen to you in the beginning. They came to us, and then they asked for partnership, and they offer financial support. So I think you just you have to be confident, and you just have to show. To do your best and show good results. And I think, as shared with the other panelists, as women, we focus more on details. So this is one of the advantages of being a woman. So we know how to make a space or a home more comfortable because we put so much attention to details and design also. I think we value design more than our male counterparts. So I think that also at the end of the day, produce a better product, I would say. And then we listen more to insights. So we try to accommodate the needs of whatever the market is demanding right now. And as stated also before, that half of the decision makers in investing in property is women. So by giving a project that is, full of details and also accountable and so forth, I think the decision maker who are female will think more about the project.
Thank you. Finally, Shini, your thoughts, the challenges and benefits of being a woman in a quote-unquote man's world?
I think personally the biggest challenge is the cognitive load. I think as we build our career, and then as we really focus on, doing our work well, being really good in what we do, and being a leader. Aside from doing all of that, I find that frequently I have to think about all the other things that I had to consider, which is, I think, quite particular to female executives. For example, if I were to negotiate hard for my promotion or my compensation package, am I going to come across as being assertive, or am I going to come across as being aggressive? And so am I going to be labeled as bossy? And if I decline an opportunity for a business discussion late in the night, which in questionable locations, am I going to be considered as prudish? Am I going to be considered as inflexible? And if I choose to take a few years off because I have to give birth, am I going to be perceived as not being very focused on my career? Which is not the case, but it's just that I have, a natural duty, until the men can give birth as well, that I will have to do that. So I think it's the extra cognitive load that we have to bear as well, on top of everything that you think about in building your career and being great at what you do. And I think an opportunity, however, is that today we have the ability to pave the way for so many other women that are rising up in the ranks. And now there is much more open conversations about this. There are forums like this where everyone feels comfortable and have more information now than before to be able to have these discussions more constructively. So I think that is a great opportunity for a female leader today.
Jessica, can I just jump on that? Because that's so true. So in the survey that we did, it was interesting to note that majority of the women felt that they had access to equal opportunities. But what we're not seeing possibly is that their ability to say yes, right? Because of all the other responsibilities that they're faced with. So I think that's something to consider. And as you said about, women supporting women, there's always this hashtag of change or destroy the bias. But for me, it's create a bias for women, right? Because we really need to be able to support each other. So, yeah.
Yes, and so as a final question to our very inspiring panelists, what can you say to women who just want to go for it and advance to leadership positions in real estate and other industries? Any pieces of advice that you'd like to share?
I think that for me, women who have been privileged to be in leadership roles really have a role to play in bringing people up, as was mentioned earlier. So it's creating that bias, maybe preferring women-led companies when it comes to financing, when it comes to suppliers, when it comes to vendors, but also for other women to look for mentors, as you said, right? To look for mentors, because we all need mentors, whether male or female, and just being able to realize that we can do even more than what we've thought of. Interestingly, in the survey, there was even 30% of women still felt inferior, and even felt that men could do more things than they could. So that's something, maybe that's physical, maybe that's psychological.
So how do we address those feelings of inferiority, which are basically based on nothing?
I think it's really having those discussions, right? Unearthing those issues, because sometimes it's a paradigm already that you don't realize is there. So having more, just discussions, being able to rely on women leaders, seeing them in action, seeing them support other women. I think that's just very important in our industry right now.
Yes, Coco?
Yes, I think my suggestion is not only to women, but is to everyone. Because everyone need to do something to build an inclusive and diverse environment. And this environment is not to give a preferential treatment to women, but is an environment to empower women to pursue their dreams. And this environment is not just the workplace, but every household and the entire society. Because I firmly believe that doing things for some can actually making things better for all.
Thank you, and that's all the time we have. So, any last words?
I really like what Coco said, and I concur as well. I think there are definitely some self-limiting beliefs that female executives may have that they can work on, but I would definitely also appeal to the esteemed male guest here as well, that you can likewise play a very important role in addressing some of this unconscious bias and help your fellow female executives along. I have personally been a beneficiary of many mentors and coaches over the years, male and female, because they believed in my abilities, they believe in my potential to do great things, and those people can have a very big impact. Those people had very big impact on me, and likewise, I think all of us can play a role in being able to uplift one another to do more than we think we can.
Thank you. And so, unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but you can approach our panelists outside if you have the chance, if you have more questions. Thank you very much for coming.